Hello, Julie here and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you how I created this particular layout, and you will see throughout the process that I do change my mind on several aspects of the layout as I work my way through it. I have got a Craft Concepts paper pad. It's called Vintage Grunge, and I'm going to select I've selected my papers from that pad to create this layout. I'm just having a look through the papers I've chosen and trying to decide what layers are going to, what sort of order I'm going to have these layers in. So here I choose to have this stripe paper as my background, so I'm going to trim the banding strip off of that, and then I'm going to cut a 1-inch frame so that I've got the paper in the middle of the sheet of paper available for me to use in case I want to use it in this layout a bit later on. My next layer is this red. I'm going to trim that down to 11.5 inches square, and then I'm going to tear along what will be the top of the page. The 3 remaining pattern papers are going to be layered on top of each other, so I'm just trying to work out what colours I want where. Once I do that, I'm going to trim them down. I'm going to cut this first pattern paper at 7 inches by 12 inches and tear across the top and the bottom. The paper for the second layer, I'm going to cut that at 6 inches by 12 inches and once again tear the top and the bottom. And this spot paper is going to be my top layer, so I'm going to cut that at 5 inches and tear across the top and the bottom. When I look at the photo on the papers, I decide I want a light coloured matte for the photo, so I go through my pad and select this paper to mat my photo on. I have trimmed my photo down. It was originally a 5x7, now I've trimmed it down, and I'm going to cut my photo mat so that it's 3.5 by 7.25. This will give me a fine border all around the photo. I want to add some texture to my background, so I'm going to use this Crafters Workshop stencil called 2 Hearts and my Montmartre modelling paste, and I'm going to apply the modelling paste through the stencil randomly, sort of at the top section and the bottom section of the background paper. I'm going to set my modelling paste aside to dry, and while that's drying I'm going to use double-sided tape to attach all my layers on top of each other. I try and have a reasonably even spread between top and bottom. I then attach my photo on top of that stack. Time now to attach my background paper to the pattern paper frame that I had cut out. This will give me a border of the striped paper around my layout. Now I'm going to use double-sided tape to attach my centre section to the background. You can see this is going to go in the area where I didn't do any modelling paste. This is where my first change happened. I wasn't happy with the photo on those papers. I thought the layout was too dark for the photos, so I dug out a couple of these photos from when I went to Egypt last year, and I've matted them on some of the same paper that I used to mat my other photo, and I'm going to use those photos instead. I'm going to use this American Crafts knockout punch and punch along the edge of a couple of pieces of the yellow paper. I'm going to ink around the edge of those and then attach them onto my layout with a bit of glue, tucking them behind the other torn papers I have there. I'll use that double-sided tape to attach the new set of photos. For my title, I used my scan and cut and Canvas workspace, and I printed out and cut out this title that says The Pyramids, and I did that in white. I couldn't make up my mind what colour to do it in. I was hoping that the white might lift the layout a little bit. This is another place, another area where I changed my mind, and while I do place these on and stick them in place, I do end up cutting them, same thing, in black cardstock and putting that over the top of the white. To embellish the layout, I used my stitched diamond die, cut the diamonds in half to look like pyramids, and I used the same papers that I've used on the other parts of the page, and I poked these in between the layers of torn paper. I ink around the edges of each of them before I attach them using glue. You can see here now that I've replaced the white title with a black one. It doesn't really stand out any better, but there we go. I am still not happy with the darkness of the layout. I want it to lighten it a little, so I've taken some white cardstock and torn the edges of it, and I'm sort of tucking it in behind some of the torn layers. Once I've got all of the cardstock torn that I want to place in there, I then just use my glue to poke it in behind the bottom layer, so the one that's actually attached to the frame that I cut out, and stick that in on 3 different areas, I think. As a final touch, I take my black pen and I draw some faux stitching around each of my pyramids. I hope you've enjoyed watching my video today. I must say that I am going to have to rethink my original photo. So if you've enjoyed my video, please share it with your friends, and if you're not already subscribed, please do. And thank you once again.